What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Eluder Racing. As you can tell by the title, in this episode we're finally going to be doing that muffler upgrade that I've been talking about for so long on Project Beastmaster. And if you guys remember, I know in the older videos I was talking about that I had a few different brand mufflers that I was looking at. Until I did that, these mufflers have been punched out, so they're not 100% OEM or stock. And I'm going to do a little sound clip right now of the way they sound currently. And then I'm going to do an after when I do the new ones. So we'll do a before and an after and all that stuff. But I'm really excited because the mufflers that I went with are Two Brothers Racing, and I picked these up used. I found them on Craigslist of all places and got a really good deal for them from a new friend of mine, William. Thank you very much. But this was the brand. I did a lot of research. I did a lot of looking and stuff like that. And HM, I mean, there's 1,000,001 muffler companies out there, slip-on mufflers that you can buy. And a lot of people have the big misconception that louder means more power, and that's not it. There's a lot of research and development that goes into these slip-ons. That it's not just a matter of throwing something on there and boom, you're going to get a lot more power and a lot more performance. It might be loud as all hell and you might think it sounds sweet and all that stuff, but it doesn't mean that your side-by-side or ATV or whatever it is going to be faster. Now with the Two Brothers, these are one of the few that actually equate into dyno proven horsepower increases, and that was one of the reasons that I wanted to go with these guys, because these are one of the few mufflers that you can buy and install, and we'll see right out the gate, you will see a horsepower increase. It's anywhere from 5 to 15 horsepower depending on your setup and other modifications and stuff. But nonetheless, it is a proven horsepower increase with the Two Brothers Racing. And along the other benefits that you're going to get is you're going to get a lighter muffler, and you're going to get almost stock decibel levels. So you're gaining horsepower, you're saving weight, and you're still well within the decibel level requirements of a lot of the state-run parks that they require for you to be able to have access there, because a lot of states, like here in Michigan, they're really strict on decibel levels. These are forestry approved. They have internal spark arresters, and they will meet those requirements here in Michigan. So this was one of the brands, like I said, I've said that a couple times now, this is one of the brands that I was really looking at, and I was prepared to wait until I found them. And I got lucky and I found a good deal, and we're going to install them here today. So this is from a 1 to 10. I mean, a slip-on muffler install, I would say, is like a 3. I mean, this is one of the easiest modifications that you can do on your side-by-side. And there's not a lot of time involved, there's not a lot of tools required, and there's not a whole lot of knowledge to a beginner that is just getting into the game, and they want an easy bolt-on, and they want to make their side-by-side sound a little more aggressive and get a little bit more pep. This is one of those mods that are right up your alley. So as far as for the installation, on my Maverick, the only thing that we're going to be needing is a 15mm socket. If you don't have a socket, you can use a 15mm wrench, and I would recommend using some breakaway. And the breakaway is going to be needed for these band clamps, which you have one right here. And then on the other side, you have one right there. Those two band clamps are all you need to loosen up. And then up top, Hopefully you can see it. We've got a cotter key right there, and then one on the other side. So you loosen up those two band clamps, you pull off those cotter keys, and then it's going to be a matter of just kind of a little bit of jiggling up and down, moving left and right, and you'll be able to walk that slip-on right off. Now, one thing I recommend, and you know from my previous videos, I'm a big believer in pre-spraying, pre-treating any nuts and bolts that you're going to be using. And I cannot say enough great stuff about this seafoam spray. And this is the stuff that you buy just to spray into your intake and all that, but it has lubricant properties, and it also has a cleaning agent in it. So this works great as like a breakaway / lubricant for nuts and bolts. And it smells better than PB Blaster, in my opinion. So just get you a little bit of this. You're going to spray there. Might as well spray up on the boot. Spray the other one. You don't need to get real crazy with that because it's just to loosen up any grime or rust or whatever that's in the threads. And I would let that sit for about 5 or 10 minutes. You know, so I would do that while you're gathering up your tools. And like I said, I'm using a 15mm deep socket with a cordless ratchet. You could use a standard ratchet, you could use a wrench. You got enough room to get any of those things in there. For me, it's just more about the speed to get this thing off quickly and get the new ones on. Now, when I go to actually reinstall or install the new ones, there are going to be some adapters that you have to put on first, and I'll show you that part on the installation. But right now we're going to let this soak, and then we'll get right back to getting these mufflers off. Alright, so we got the, I went ahead and I loosened up the clamps. I didn't think you guys needed to see me do that, but as you can see, everything was pre-treated like we talked about. And clamps have been loosened. What you're going to want to do, if you haven't taken these mufflers off, is these band clamps are spring. It's kind of like a combination band clamp, and then like they're spring loaded too. You need to slide that off the flange of the muffler. Get that back. It's going to kind of fall back and drop off. Do that on both sides, and what that will do is that will give you the ability to walk these mufflers off. Now I'm going to try to do this with one hand. I might not be able to do it. I just don't know how easily it'll slide off. Sometimes you have to kind of wiggle it and rock it, and that might be the case here today. So let's see what we can do. Let's see. Oh, just a second. Alright, so I've been fighting with these stupid mufflers for about 10 minutes. Do yourself a favor. After you get those clamps off that I showed you, re-lube up the slip joint for the muffler and the pipe, and that'll save yourself a lot of pain and grief, because I have been yanking and yanking on these things and could not get them off. So I got the one pulled, and I got this other one. I'm getting ready to yank this one off. It's at its last little bit. You're going to want to kind of pull on it and yank and rock it all in one single motion, and there you go. That's what it's going to look like with the mufflers pulled off. Now on this kit, like I showed you before, we've got these adapters, and it comes with some clamps, and I'm kind of thinking about this as I'm talking about it, but those clamps, they seem alright. These factory clamps seem a lot better, so if they will work, I would probably recommend leaving the factory clamps on. This guy just kind of slides on there, and then I think, yeah, can't tell if that's going to tighten up enough or not. No, I guess never mind. I was thinking that this factory clamp would tighten up enough to be reusable for this application, just because these factory clamps are really big and beefy. there's a little bit of a spacer in there. You could probably take it apart and take that spacer out, but then you risk over clamping it and crushing the pipe, and that's what you don't want to do. So maybe that's why Two Brothers uses their clamps, so you get the right amount of clamping force without crushing the pipe. Because even though this is stainless, you can over crush it and over tighten it, and you can warp it, and then you've got potential for leaks, and that's what you don't want. So yeah, so once you get that off, once you get your mufflers off, you're going to pull these clamps off. You're going to get the clamps that come with it if you use this kit. Now if you use another muffler, some of the other mufflers out there have that style where that slip-on flange is part of the muffler. So if that's the case, you probably can reuse the factory clamps. So I'm just speaking for this kit here. Once you get those mufflers off, don't forget you gotta slip these clamps on first, because you're gonna go clamp, then you're gonna go adapter, and then you're gonna go muffler. So now these, they have a little bit of an upward slope, which if you look at the pipe, you know, you're going to want to continue on with that as far as for the alignment or for the angle of the pipe. Slide that on. I would get them in place, and then you can fine tune them once they're on. And that's also where adding that lube on there will make spinning these or clocking them in the right orientation, so that way you get that muffler angled and properly lined up, because you need to be able to get everything to go, and then you reuse the factory mounting slots or mounting locations, because those have the factory style of hangers. So I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff snugged up, get it semi lined up, and then we'll get a muffler on. Alright, so we got the right side on. Figured out a couple things early on. One, if you use the Two Brothers, these are side specific. They have a part number on them. The part number is 425L and 425R, which stand for obviously left and right. So you're going to make sure that you use the proper adapter on the right side, on the correct side I should say. And the other thing I figured out is you want to slide this adapter into the muffler first and then slide it on there, because when I put the adapter on and tried to slide the muffler on, basically what was happening is I would get it to start to slide on to that adapter piece, but I could not get it to go into the hangers, the mounts for the hangers, and they were fighting one another. So by putting the adapter into the muffler, I could then slide it all on as a unit, got it all started, and then I basically got my rubber mallet and I slowly tapped on this bottom hanger and kind of wiggled it up and down, and it drove it in the rest of the way. So that was something that I kind of learned as I went. And I'm sure if you bought this kit new, you know, in the mounting instructions, it's going to give you the tips and tricks and tell you what to do. I'm kind of learning this as I'm going, because I bought it secondhand, and other than talking to William and how he did it, you know, it was something that I didn't really get a lot of support as far as how to do it. You know, it's straightforward, it's pretty basic, you can figure it out without the instructions, but when you have the instructions, it helps you on those little hiccups like what I ran across that I would have probably known in advance if I had them. So what I'm going to try to do is try to show you how this goes together, and bear with me, it's going to be hard to do it with one hand, but basically that just slides in there. You've got your mounting spots, because there are springs that hold these on here. Line those up, and then you're going to get it on the pipe, or get it close to the pipe. That bottom mount is going to start not gonna work. Can't do it with one hand. So let me get this other one started. Alright, so we got the other one on. I noticed, I think the reason I was having trouble with this second one, the left one, is this bottom mount was a little bit bent. I don't know if that was me dropping it or me moving it around or whatever, but I had to bend this mount down a little bit, and it slid right in with no problems whatsoever. One thing I am noticing is, to look at it, this one right here is a little bit in, and I noticed on this one it had a little bit of a melting spot right here. So I'm thinking, like I said, I bought these used, and I would be willing to bet with the way these ass ends are exposed on these, it wouldn't be nothing to back up and hit this on something and tweak it. You know, the mounts are pretty flexible, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of tweaking on that one and get it, you know, just aesthetically so it looks better, because I'm a little bit OCD, and having a crooked muffler like that will bug the ever living hell out of me every time I look at the ass end of this thing. So I'm going to straighten that out, and then once I get that where it's good, then at that point I'll tighten down those band clamps, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do an after sound, or you know, I did a before sound, and I'm going to do an after, and that way we can compare the overall change of the sound and the loudness, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do some upcoming videos. Then I'm going to be able to finally use my tuner and go with my tune, and we'll be able to actually really start making some serious power with this thing. So I've got a lot of cool stuff coming up with this bad boy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tweak this. I got to get a pry bar. I'm going to tweak this over, get it to look a little bit better, and then we'll go ahead and we'll tighten down these band clamps. Alright, so we got everything all finished. Got them lined up a little bit better. I actually started to put a little bit of a dimple into the muffler, so I had to stop, because now instead of seeing a crooked muffler, I'm going to see a dented muffler, so I don't know which one is going to bug me worse. But anyway, the last thing I had to do was I had to put on these retainer springs, and those keep the muffler. I don't see that it could ever go anywhere, but over time I could see it vibrating and everything like that and coming loose. So they put those to keep those two pieces together. And then the other thing you got to do is, from the factory, where's it at? Yeah, from the factory, if you see right there, these top mounts, you have to put the cotter keys back in. So that's something I can handle while holding the camera. So you got one there. And then one on the other side. Which for some reason this one doesn't seem like it's in as far. Yeah, see, I'm not able to get that mount on there. Okay, I'm gonna have to tweak that a little bit more to get that cotter key to go in there, because it's just not in as far, or not coming through as far. So I think that mount's a little bit bent, but nonetheless, we've got everything all together. We're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of an after clip, and bear with me while I mount this back up on the door. So there you go. That is a installation video of a Two Brothers Racing muffler system. And like I always say, please like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. I appreciate everybody that has been subscribing lately. I encourage you to message me with ideas, or if you have questions, anything related to stuff that I'm posting on my channel. You know, I've got the Lightning that I'm working on, I've got the Maverick I'm working on, and I've also got a new golf cart that I'm going to be doing a series on with that one, another lift and everything like that. So I've got a lot of projects in the works coming up real soon. Weather's breaking, and I'm ready to I'm chomping at the bits to try to start working on stuff. So please like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.